You can have the best critical thinking skills in the world. If you don't understand financial statements, you are not technically going to be able to do the primary thing you are supposed to do for your role.
Anywhere that you see numbers, you see a financial model behind it. And also, there is a thin line between the operations and the strategies, and there is a financial modeling connecting it.
Anybody who has ever worked on a spreadsheet that is iterative knows that it makes the spreadsheet unstable.
As a financial modeler, you want to learn VBA because you're going to feel like the most powerful magician in the world in terms of being able to control over your own productivity.
So we have a diverse group of expert modelers.
Financial modeling is an art as much as it's a science.
Financial modeling is a multidisciplinary. We need Excel, we need financial modeling, we need accounting, finance, quite a lot of stuff together.
It won't die from obsolescence. No software is going to come along and then we put Excel in a paper sack and take it out to the alley for the garbage man. Instead, it is going to die from irrelevance because
Welcome to Financial Modeler's Corner, where we discuss the art and science of financial modeling with your host, Paul Barnhurst. Financial Modeler's Corner is sponsored by Financial Modeling Institute.
All right. Welcome out there, everyone in LinkedIn and YouTube. We'll get started here in just a minute. We're just coming to the top of the hour. There we go. I can see David happened to join on his phone.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Oz.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really excited. This is what I call round 2 of the Great Debate. We did this a few weeks ago. Several of you may have had the opportunity to attend that one. We had a bunch of people from Australia and the U.S. This time we have mostly Europe, a little bit of the U.S., and also Africa. So we have a diverse group of expert modelers. And just in the interest of time, where we're going to start is we're going to start doing a quick introduction. How this is going to work today is we have about 13 questions we're going to run through. Each modeler is going to get a minute and a half or a minute 40 to argue their position. And then we'll move on to the next one. We'll share a link for you to vote. There's also a link in the LinkedIn Live comments. For each question, there's a separate link to vote for who you thought did the best job arguing their side. At the end, we'll show you how that went. So we're going to do a really quick lightning round of introductions, 20 to 30 seconds. Why don't we start with the humble MVP who's wearing my hat, Giles?
That's because I'm trying to get in your good books, Paul. So yeah, pleasure to be here. Giles Male. I am co-founder of Full Stack Modeler. Humbled.
Like it. Will?
I'm Will Wardle. I'm an independent financial modeler. I've been doing financial modeling for over 20 years. Cut my teeth in KPMG. I was there for 5 years. And now I'm an Excel geek, having used it since I was 15 years old.
I like Excel
with version 1.52, I think.
All right. Carolina.
Hi, I'm Carolina. I am from Brazil originally. I've been working with financial modeling and FP&A for the last 20 years, I guess. And now I run Plastic Financial, where I help small and medium companies to restructure their finances and their financial modeling as well.
Great. Thank you. Hedieh.
Hi, my name is Hedieh. I'm originally from Iran. I made financial modeling my profession and my passion, and very happy to be here today.
Great. Oz.
Oz here from Las Vegas. In my living room, I'm an Excel MVP for 10 years, and I run the YouTube channel Excel on Fire, and I collect kaleidoscopes, and there's maybe a quarter of my collection behind me.
Love it. All right. Rishi.
Hey there, Rishi Sapra from London. I've lived here my whole life. I'm not actually an Excel geek anymore, a financial modeler. I'm a former Excel addict, but I've moved on to the harder drugs now of Power BI and Fabric, a data platform. So my background is as an accountant, and I spent the first decade of my career working for the big four, some of the big banks in London. But I moved into business intelligence. I worked for a company called Avanade, which is basically a joint venture between Accenture and Microsoft. So I still love engaging with the finance community, and it's been great to see how much Excel has moved on. So I thought I'd come in and and share the love with the Excel community.
I'm not sure I'd brag about moving on to harder drugs, but that's a separate discussion. All right, David Brown.
Hello, I'm David. I'm David Brown. Funny enough, there's another David Brown that's a financial modeler. I'm the other one from Nigeria. And I've been doing Excel. Excel has been doing me for the last 27 years.
Right, you're breaking up a little bit on us.
So I've been working with Excel for the last 27 years. I'm a financial modeler around D. Brown Consulting, and I work with Power BI and Excel, so we kind of wrangle the two together.
All right, great. So before we get started, one more thing. If you're out there, please let us know where you're coming from. We love participation in these events, so feel free to comment as much as you want on LinkedIn. We'll see those come through and just have fun with this. We're going to go ahead and get our first two guests up here. So I'm going to remove everybody else from the stream real quick, and we'll get started. I should have kept myself on the stage. I removed me for a minute. Bad idea. All right, so we have two guests here with us. Our first question, and I'm just going to throw it up so everybody can see it. In circular references in financial models, yes or no? I think we'll start on this one. Give Hedieh the opportunity to go first. I know she loves this question so much. So tell us why we shouldn't use circular references. Why is it a no for you?
Well, I would say, the circular reference to be or not to be is like asking the question, or are you for or against cancer? And why is that? Because anybody who has ever worked on a spreadsheet that is iterative knows that it makes, the spreadsheet unstable and very slow to run and all sorts of problems. And in the world where I am, which is project finance, it's just impossible to work with the iterative model. So I would say the better question to ask is how to deal with the circular reference, not that whether it should exist or not. And the conventional ways to deal with circular reference is copy and paste, which is just to, freeze the problem. And this method of copy and paste to me is again makes an iterative process because you have to copy and paste. So, and then as the model gets bigger, and this is one of the main problems in project finance today, is that this copy and paste becomes like blocks. And again, the same problems that we have with circular reference with an iterative model, which is slow to run, it comes with the copy and paste method. So like any other issues we have in our personal life as well, when we are stuck in a loop, we need to get out of it. Either we find simple solution to get out of a loop, or we just go deeper and try to sort it out. And to me, and my challenge as a financial modeler has been to find a solution to really deal with the issue of circular reference, not to just, deal with it with just a simple copy and paste. To me, that's a temporary solution, and there are better ways to deal with it. And one of them is to use this beautiful option that we have in Excel, which is VBA, go behind and, create a code, create a user-defined function, and create a parallel model next to our model that can sort out the issue. And so that's my opinion about this issue.
All right, great. We'll go to David now. Give us the other argument here.
So, I'm sure you could hear quite a lot of talk, back and forth about different methods and stuff. Circular reference means that there is a circular in your model. It's a natural thing, and there's a natural solution to it. It's just a tick. Simple tick, and we solve the problem. Now, what that does is also enables us or forces us to document. All we need to do is have a place where we document and say, hey, there's a circular reference here, and we've solved it. So when you have that documented, any other thing that's wrong with the model that caused by circular, you actually see why it is. You see it clearly documented. So I think the problem people have with circular is they forget that there is a circular. It's not documented. So once it's documented, it's a clean solution. It's pretty simple. VBA, well, I have my own misgivings about VBA. VBA is a no-no. Most people even switch it off. So if your VBA is off as a company, you can't solve your circular because you don't use VBA. So I think circular references, yes, you can have them, but you just document, and it's pretty good.
All right. Thank you, David. And thank you, hey. You can both vote for who you thought did a better job. So I'm going to put it up here. This is the link. You can find it on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, I couldn't do a hyperlink here, so you could just click on it. But if you go to LinkedIn in the comments for this event, you'll see every single question. You can go vote for who you thought did a better job arguing for or against circular references. I think this is one everybody has a strong opinion on. And there are, I've seen a lot of debate on this one. So thank you, both of you. We're going to bring our next two guests on for question number 2. This is VBA. So here we go. All right, we're going to bring back on David. He gets to argue one more time, and we're going to bring on Rishi here. So question number 2 that we have is use of VBA in financial models. So Rishi, our resident Power BI person, I was going to say financial modeler, but not anymore. Our resident BI person who's going to be arguing the yes that we should be using VBA for models. So Rishi, you're on the clock. You got a minute 40. Go ahead and tell us why our financial models should have VBA.
Well, I think as a financial modeler, Paul, you want to learn VBA because you're going to feel like the most powerful magician in the world in terms of being able to control over your own productivity with VBA. As a financial modeler, you enjoy this experience of manipulating grids of numbers to achieve certain calculations and certain outputs. And because you have the Excel object model directly in VBA, that's exactly what you're able to use it to automate. And if you really want to experience a productivity gain you get from learning VBA, you can use it to leverage the micro automations that Eric Holm has come up with, where you can literally just go in, put in your own little functions in Excel and create your own software application to work exactly how you want. And that's the power of VBA. The second reason is that the alternatives to VBA, things like Python and Office scripts, they're just not as good. I have no idea why Microsoft decided to put Python into Excel cells rather than have it as a version that talks directly to the Excel object model in a scripted environment like VBA Editor or something better. And, I do feel bad that the VBA Editor hasn't had an upgrade in the last 20 years. It's probably the only component of Microsoft I've seen that hasn't had Copilot integrated into it. So it hasn't had much love, but it should have love. And once Microsoft realize that, and maybe at some point in the future they'll get their heads screwed on, and then it'll be a million times better than Python in cells or Office scripts in taskbars. And the last reason is what we were talking about the other day, Paul. As a consultant, as a financial modeler, the key to success is niching down, right? And being one of those few people with unique skills that are highly in demand. And financial modelers with VBA, that's exactly what they are. You can do fewer things with VBA than you can do with Python, but it doesn't have as rich a library, but sometimes less is more. And combining financial modeling skills with VBA gives you that edge that most people just don't have.
All right. Thank you, Rishi. Appreciate that. To our audience, please provide comments throughout. We're going to give David his opportunity to respond, but keep the comments going. The guests that are in the background, feel free to comment. Let's have fun with this. And David, your counter argument. Time for you to tell us why we should not be using VBA.
So first of all, Excel is king. You have to understand that VBA is like a software that kind of sits on top of Excel. Why not use Excel directly? If you can use Excel directly to solve your problems, then you should. And I can tell you 99.99999% of the time, Excel can do it perfectly on its own. You don't need VBA. And guess what? Why is Microsoft not doing anything with VBA for 20 years? Because frankly speaking, there are other things, there are other tools that VBA can do that actually you don't need VBA. And Excel has gone, I don't know if you've heard of dynamic arrays in the audience. Dynamic arrays, lambdas, there's stuff that VBA could only VBA could do, but guess what? Excel can do it now. So you stick with Excel. Stick with Excel, that's number one. Stick with Excel because even the investment in VBA is not happening because we know there are other solutions that are better in native Excel. And then VBA gets switched off by most companies. Why? Because it can take viruses. You're not too sure. And guess what? Modelers, we're not building models for ourselves. We're building it for our companies. We're building it for people that don't know Excel as well as we do. So they don't know Excel. Forget VBA. They don't even know Excel. So you need to build the stuff that people can actually open. And the risk is people can open your models full of VBA. VBAs are not enabled and your model doesn't work. Models not working is a no-no. So VBA, also a no-no.
All right. Thank you, David. We'll let everybody vote which argument they think they like best, where they stand on this one. So go to the link there. And we're going to bring our next two guests on here to keep this debate going. So thank you, both of you. All right. We got question number 3. This one, we have Carolina coming on the stage. And we have where is he? There he is. The FP&A guy known as Giles. She's trying to get some brownie points from me from wearing that. We'll see how it works.
It's not gonna work.
See, there you go. You've already been told it's not going to work. So question number 3. Should we build fully dynamic models using dynamic arrays so they fully adjust in Excel? This is a debate I've had with several people. Question we ask our guests now because it's becoming a bigger issue. And what we're going to do is, I think it's ladies first, right? So we're going to let Carolina go. She's going to be arguing, no, we shouldn't be building fully dynamic array models. And after, Giles will give us the counter argument. So Carolina, you're on the clock. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I think about the dynamic arrays, it's awesome that Excel can do it, and it's very nice to see it. Just like the circular reference, I have the same opinion about it, but it brings up an extra layer of complexity to financial models. It's fine, it works great, but fully dynamic array financial models, I don't believe it will work because it's just too much for just one single simple model that could be simpler. And I am totally for simplicity all the time. I try not to put any kind of complexity that it's not necessary. It will bring auditing challenges. It's much harder to audit a financial model that is built with dynamic array itself, and especially if it is fully dynamic array, then it's almost impossible. It's very hard to be compatible with all types of Excel. So not everybody has the type of Excel that will support dynamic array, not yet. I'm not going to say that in the future it's not going to be more fully used, more widely used. But for now, I think it brings a complexity that it's probably not necessary. So I will vote for no fully dynamic array financial models.
All right, thank you for your argument. And I saw a comment come in. It was Jack Kennedy asked in the voting, are we voting for our opinion or who we thought made the best argument? Go with who you thought made the best argument. Hence, it's a debate. That's kind of the idea here. Not just voting for what you think. For the actual live vote, put what you think in the comments. Totally fine with that. But for the voting, go with what you like best. All right. Now we're going to hear the counter argument of why we should do this. So Giles, you're on the clock.
Awesome. Well, firstly, Carolina and I were joking before that we pretty much agree with everything. So this is just a strong debate position. Look, if the question said specifically, should all financial modelers be forced to convert to full dynamic array modeling today, my answer would be categorically no, because we're not ready for it. So I think you have to answer this a little bit aspirationally and a little bit technically. So technically today, dynamic arrays offer huge improvements to modelers. The fact you can't go into period 5 in your array output and tweak the number to make your balance sheet balance is a huge step in the direction of best practice modeling. The fact that dynamic arrays deal with data more effectively, more dynamically is a huge improvement for modelers. But we have one big challenge, which is the circularity that dynamic arrays create when you're dealing with 3-statement models and balances. We have the best and brightest minds looking at this challenge. We will solve it, or Microsoft will evolve the tool so that it's solved for us. So you have to answer this question aspirationally. And I think the answer has to be yes. We should be looking at this positively as a community. How do we solve these problems as quickly as possible so that we are all using dynamic array modeling to the best effect in the future?
All right. Thank you, Giles. And one thing you're going to notice, I think you'll notice with all our guests, obviously these are nuanced. We say yes or no to have a debate here, but you're going to see different comments. Hey, is it the future? Is it aspirational? Everybody's going to take their different approach to argue their side. But thank you, both of you. I'm just real quick while I have you, we'll see what a couple people said. I love what you said. The best mantra is simplicity. So there's one for Carolina. And another one that really liked simplicity. Yes, left, simplicity. Say that again. So I'll say it. Keep it simple. But dynamic arrays are wonderful. So you pick which side you want to vote on there, because there's a little bit of a dichotomy sometimes. But we're going to go ahead and move to our next guest. So thank you, both of you. And we'll go to the next question here. All right. So next up, we're going to have Will, our self-proclaimed geek from the age of 15. And we get Carolina again on this one. So welcome back, Carolina. This is going to be question number 4. So this is, should modelers use named ranges in models? So here, we're going to again let Carolina go first. She's going to be arguing, yes, we should. Will's going to argue the opposite, that we shouldn't. So Carolina, you're back on the clock. Go ahead and tell us why we should use named ranges.
Yes, for name ranges. I've been using more and more lately because I think it brings readability to the model. It makes the model more easy to read, easy to understand the formulas, and much easier to audit because it's all laid out there. It's much easier to understand a formula that is named. For example, if I say tax rate, something times tax rate, it's easier to see, to understand than something times C5, for example. So it's much easier to understand a formula, to explain a formula, to audit a formula, and you make less errors. And it's easier also when you're using the prompts or anything that you're using that you're going to copy from one sheet to another one, like the form control, for example. You can copy and all of the characteristics of the form control will go with it if it's name ranged. If you put a name range that will go across the full workbook, then you can copy around everywhere and it doesn't mess up your formulas, it doesn't mess up your form controls or anything else that you're using. So it makes it simpler and makes it easier to understand and easier to explain as well. And I'm always for simplicity. You're gonna see on all my questions, I am the person for simplicity. So that's one more thing that will help with that.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate the argument. You get it just in the nick of time. Will, are you ready to tell us why the opposite is true?
Well, I think I do actually have to agree with Carolina about the simplicity thing. I mean, I am not against using named ranges in a financial model. I use them for constants and for ranges around the VBA code. So they are truly dynamic. So as you said about simplicity, Carolina, you can actually do a tax rate. You can do all this. Now, in my experience over the last 20 years, I've had some horrific models which have had lots of named ranges in there. And one of the worst one was they had a telephone directory of all the name ranges in that particular model. So it wasn't simple. You actually had to go and you could never trace anything back. Now, in a simplistic model, if you've got a range called revenue and costs, you can actually multiply the two together. You can see, oh, that's the revenue range, that's the cost. And then you can work these things out. Now, when the model steps up to a much higher level of complexity, you start developing your own cottage industry of maintaining your named ranges. Then name manager isn't up to speed. It hasn't changed in the last 20 years since I've actually used it. Eric Ohm, in a thing about robots, said to me, he said, it's as if Microsoft has actually lost the code for name manager. It is not fit for purpose. Then you've got the problems of named ranges being deleted. You end up with hash refs. There's lots. I mean, and now this is the best one. Named ranges, hidden named ranges, audit nightmare. They can appear out of nowhere. Links to all sorts of different things. I just don't like named ranges because of that one.
All right. So go ahead and pick which argument you like better there. I think there were some great things brought up. Name ranges. Yes, I think we can all agree whether you're using them right now or not. We'd love to see an update by Microsoft intent to named ranges. Because who's ever had that file with 10,000 references with all broken links and things to named references? So I think there's some opportunities to improve it, but you guys decide, use them yes or no. Thank you both of you for joining. We're going to bring our next people up on the stage now. All right. So that was question 4. Question 5. This is a fun one. Please put your thoughts in the comments. We got Oz and Rishi to battle this one out. It's the will Excel ever die debate. We've never had that one before, right?
We need to touch gloves and keep it fair.
Yep, no kidding. You know what? We're going to let you go first, Oz, and tell us why Excel is eventually going to die.
All right, there's 2 ways that we can think about this. Obsolescence. No, it won't die from obsolescence. No software is going to come along and then we put Excel in a paper sack and take it out to the alley for the garbage man. Instead, it is going to die from irrelevance, because right now we have technology run amok and we are staring at the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We have engineers who have forgotten that they live in a society with the rest of us. We have slimy data brokers and the wanton desires of venture capitalists and soulless digital marketers. They will usher in the death of humanity. And once regular people who've lost their jobs to AI, who've gotten fed up, who are tired of hearing, well, have you cleared your cookies yet? They are going to take to the streets with table legs and rocks and that rod that you have in the middle of artificial Christmas trees. And that will be the last gasp of human dignity. And when we have no more dignity as a society, mon frere, we're in trouble. We got bigger fish to fry than thinking about Excel. And the last formula that will be written in Excel will be equals survival, open parentheses. And the battery will die and the user will look out across his shack and out the window and see the sun glistening on our shame.
All right. Thank you, Oz. Go ahead and put in the comments what you thought of Oz's argument there. We're going to bring Rishi up now and give him his counter argument.
So here's a little thought experiment that I want everyone here to do with me. What would an immortal software product actually look like? So think about this. An immortal software product would be a software that a significant proportion of people, not just thousands, but millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions of people use and love on a daily basis. It would be that kind of software product that's ingrained into society, ingrained into communities like sports are, like professional sports. People would compete using the software product in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, where Oz is from, to win cash battles and fierce competitions that are aired on the ESPN. It'd be a software product that allows so many types of people to express themselves in different ways, from marketers in a Fortune 500 company to heads of households trying to work out if they have enough cash at the end of each month to cover their kids' school fees. And because of all these different use cases, it would be a software product that's accessible to everyone in an environment that gives them the opportunity to be creative without being constrained by a complex UI or fixed set of features that a software vendor has decided to implement. And one that people could customize themselves. They could build their own automations in and customize exactly how they want. It would be a software product that would generate the world's largest software firm billions of dollars of revenue a year, so that it's got the funding to continuously innovate and be the best in class. And it would be a software product that is so entrenched in corporate workflows that it would just be a part of almost every process that everyone in the entire organization is involved in. And one that the entire banking system and heck, even the entire world runs on it. That would be the definition of an immortal software product. And that is Excel today.
Perfect. Right on time. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Oz. Go ahead and vote for who you think won that argument there. Loved it. Some great points. Everybody should learn the equal survival formula. Try it in Excel today. Let us know how it works. All right, let's bring up our next guest. So this is a surprise question that I'm going to throw out here. So Carolina gets to come on stage for a little surprise. She doesn't know what the question is, but I bet she might have some ideas. So tell our audience, you get 1 minute here, why understanding three-statement models is the most important skill for FP&A professionals.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I think it's the most important skill that a finance professional can have, because when you start understanding the three-statement model, first of all, the three-statement is the language of communication in finance. You have to agree with that. Every time you're going to report numbers, either on the stock market or to compare companies or to buy companies, you're using the three statements. So it's the language of communication in finance. Why it's so important to understand the three-statement model? Because as you are working with the three-statement model over and over and over again, you start to build a model in your head, and that will help you understand how every business decision flows through your finances. As it flows through your finances, it's going to show in the three statements. So if you're very familiar with the three statements, we're going to be able to understand how each business decision will impact the business in the finances, in the numbers. So that's why I always tell all my students and my team and everybody that works with me, build a financial statement, a financial model in your head, so you are able to take decisions quickly and understand how any business decision will impact in the business. That's why.
Thank you. And arguing no on this side is going to be the FP&A guy. So I'm going to put on my hat here for my argument. So I'm different from the host. And first I'll say I'm the FP&A guy, and I say no, so you should vote for me. The real reason I say that is in 12 years in FP&A, in corporate FP&A, I never once built a three-statement model. I built P&Ls. I understood the basics, but I don't think it's most important. It's important. I think people should understand it, but I would much rather have someone who's a critical thinker, strong Excel skills, communication skills. I'd probably put it 5th or 6th on the list of skills I want when I'm hiring somebody. I can't remember ever hiring someone and giving them a test to see if they could build a three-statement model, and I had some great employees. So I think it's important. Do I think it's the most important? I don't. But you guys get to decide. That's the beauty of this. So go ahead and vote for whose argument you like best. And thank you for coming up and humoring me on the spot there, Caroline. I had to have a little fun. We got one more surprise question a little later that will be for Giles. So you'll get to enjoy him being on the spot. All right. So keep the comments coming. We have a lot of them coming in. Let's see what we have.
FP&A guy here, and as you know, I am very passionate about financial modeling and the Financial Modeling Institute's mission. I have been a huge fan of the FMI for years, and I was super excited when they decided to sponsor the Financial Modelers Corner. I recently completed the Advanced Financial Modeler certification and loved the entire experience. It was top-notch from start to finish. I am a better modeler today for having completed the certification. I strongly believe every modeler needs to demonstrate they are a qualified financial modeler, and one of the best ways to do that is through the FMI's program. Earning the accreditation will demonstrate to your current and future employers that you are serious about financial modeling. What are you waiting for? Visit www.fminstitute.com/podcast. and use code PODCAST to save 15% when you enroll in an accreditation today.
Yeah, we got some about AI going, work in PE and its cash and the causes of cash. So we got a lot of different opinions. We're going to go ahead and go to our next question. So now we're going to bring up on the stage for question number 7 here. This is going to be Will and Hedieh. So we got them both on the stage. Let me pull up the question. And so we have number 7. Will AI eventually build the models for us? This has been a debate that I think a lot of people are having, a lot of work's being done, a lot of different opinions here. So we're going to let Will kick us off by telling us why AI will not build the models for us.
Well, as a trained economist, Keynes said, in the long term, we're all dead. Eventually, they may do. But at the moment, AI is nowhere near capable of developing a financial model. I mean, for me, financial modeling is an art as much as it's a science. You can put 10 financial models in a room together, and you may get 20 completely different answers. The art in financial modeling is that you will find one of those 20 answers that is the best for that particular situation that you're actually dealing with. So, what I'm trying to say is financial modeling, AI in financial modeling, it is a large language model. There's no intelligence in there. There's no spark. There's no creativity. There is nothing that, I mean, the whole concept of light is the fact that we can actually think independently. Large language models are just regression models of a various different sorts. So what I'm actually trying to say is you have the ability to have inspiration, the thinking, creativity when you're building financial models, which a computer doesn't have to do. Now, I'm not saying that Excel has or AI hasn't got the ability to do elements of automation to help you actually do things, or with the analysis of data or the analysis of outputs. But in the actual ability to, in the creation of a financial model, I do not think that AI can ever replicate the ability of a human being with this high
Seconds.
amazingness that we can actually do.
All right, great. We're now going to hear the counter argument from Hedieh. We're going to get her up on stage here and let her tell us why is AI going to build the models for us?
I would definitely think it will. I'm not saying that it will be a success, but I already see the trend. I see now most companies, the way they are dealing with the financial modeling is that they have separated the work of building the model and doing the analysis. They have a bunch of people sitting in an office, building the model. These people, they have no idea about the deal. They are completely isolated from the transaction. They don't participate in the project calls. They don't go to site visits. And so these are the people who are building the model, and then some other people are using. And this has caused us to deal with models that are now overly complex. And I deal with them on daily basis. So I think what's going to happen is that AI is going to replace those spreadsheet engineers. And I hope that AI will be more intelligent and can simplify the task and not so that we don't have these complexity in our models, what we see today.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you both for arguing that. You can go ahead and vote for who you thought the winner was. We're going to keep going as we have a number of questions to go through. I love what Davidson said to that one real quick. Wow, that is a tough question. To be honest, I don't know how to answer. So I think, there's definitely some people struggling with it, right? It's an art and a science, but go ahead and vote for which one you like best, and we'll go to the next question. All right. So we're on question number 8 now. This one is, should financial modelers learn Power BI? And we have 2 people coming up on stage. I think they've had to argue against each other once before. So we're going to give them a second round of going at each other. I think this time, since last time Oz got to go first, we'll let Rishi go first here this time. And it's should financial modelers learn Power BI? Rishi's going to be arguing yes. So you're on the clock. Go ahead and tell us why.
Thank you, Paul. So yes, I think financial modelers should learn Power BI, not as a replacement for financial models, but having both together. That duo of financial models and Power BI reports are the future of data decision making because they fuel different types of data decisions. Power BI is so much more than data visualization. There's 3 things I think it gives you on top of your data. The first is context. And if I could sum up Will's argument of why AI won't build financial models with one word, it's context. It's because AI doesn't have enough context to turn your spreadsheet of numbers into a financial model. And that's what you get with Power BI. It's a semantic model. It's a structure that captures relationships to your data set, financial logic with DAX, and even row-level access permissions. And it's that context which gives your data meaning. It's actually a cube, a SQL Server Analysis Services cube, which is ideal for calculating ratios, performing variance analysis, and understanding what's driving your numbers. And this intelligence applied on top of your data is what both Gen AI and humans can use to make those data-driven decisions. The second is automation. So hopefully everyone here knows Power Query. You can use it to clean, transform, shape data, one-click unpivoting, split text from numbers, merge data sets together, all in this transparent, repeatable workflow. You combine that with Power Automate and with Microsoft Fabric, and you have a really powerful data pipeline where you can integrate Python notebooks and AI for data validation or anomaly detection. And yes, you have Power Query in Excel, but putting it into Power BI and into Fabric, it makes that automation so much more robust and so much more supportable. And the third thing is storytelling. So finance data isn't about the numbers, it's about the insights. So this is interactive features, cross-filtering, drill through from a high-level number on the income statement to underlying journals, all these kind of things, through to Copilot to answer natural language questions.
Right.
That's Power BI.
Thank you. Now we're going to hear the counter argument of the no. So Oz, give us the no.
Power BI, interactive dashboards, data visualization is sexy. It lures people in. They go around Power BI licking like flies in a Venus flytrap, licking that sweet nectar until it just snaps them in. Because they've fallen for the puffery. Because when have you seen Power BI used in the financial modeling competitions? You've not. Because you have to get to the hardcore stuff, not puffery. Don't get caught in the forks of a Venus flytrap.
All right. So Oz is telling us don't get caught in that Venus flytrap. Thank you, both of you. Loved the arguments. We're going to give you that chance to vote. Remember, you can also find that on LinkedIn in the comments for this event. Vote for who you like there. Let us know in the comments. We're going to move on to question number 9 here. So we're going to bring 2 more people up on the stage. This time, we're going to welcome back Carolina and Will for this argument. So our question is, are financial models the #1 corporate decision-making tool? We have Carolina arguing yes, Will arguing no. So we're going to give the floor to Carolina first. And go ahead, you're on the clock.
Okay, so this pretty much ties with what I just said before about this financial modeling, especially the 3-statement modeling, being the #1 skill that a finance professional should have. A financial model, and now I'm not just talking about the 3-statement, and actually I'm not talking about Excel financial modeling. I'm talking about financial modeling in general. This is everywhere in the company. So there are financial models everywhere. Anywhere that you see numbers, you see a financial model behind it. So that's why I think it's the #1 decision-making tool. And also, when you see there is a thin line that connects between the operations and the strategies, and there's a financial modeling connecting it. So it's very important to understand what is this model that will connect operations with the strategy. So every decision needs to tell operations what to do in order to achieve strategy. So that's why the financial model would be the first tool that people will take for decision making.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're going to now let Will tell us why it is not. So, Will, go ahead. Let us know why it is not.
This is a very difficult argument to hold against. I mean, if you take a financial model in its purest sense, then financial models exist within organizations. If you are taking a pure financial model, as in a 3-statement financial model that's fully integrated, then no, it is not the first go-to thing. There are so many more areas that you can actually look at in terms of a business. You'd be looking at as Paul is an FP&A guy, you'd be looking at your budget, your actuals. You'd be actually doing your variance analysis to see where you actually are. Now, that is much more important than a financial model that's looking 4 or 5 years ahead. That is why it's not really the go-to model. But there's also other models that exist in the business. There are metrics about sales. There are metrics about customer satisfaction. You do not. I mean, if you go into banking, you've got a whole, which I've worked in prior. You will have this whole subclass of models that look at your balance sheets. So but then again, would you classify those as a financial model in what we're trying to look at? So it's the semantics of what is a financial model. A financial model can actually be a spreadsheet with 2 numbers that adds things together. But then we lead on to a whole different subject.
Sure. We could start this with me if what qualifies as a model.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Will. My favorite answer on the show so far is I asked someone, are corporate financial models the number one decision-making tool? The response I got was no, it's politics. And I was, okay, that's hard to argue with. So that would be my counter argument if I was one of these here. But go ahead and vote for these two, which one you like best. I think they enjoyed that one. And you know what? Funny enough, we're getting comments that we need to bring Giles up. He's being asked for. He's humbly listening. Let's bring on Giles. So guess who's next? Where is the most humble MVP? So we're going to meet the demands of our audience here, the crowd. We're going to bring Giles on for a surprise question that he has not had time to prepare for. So Giles, there's nobody arguing the opposite side of this. You're on your own here. You get 1 minute, not a minute 45. Please explain to the audience why you are the self-proclaimed most humble MVP in the world.
I was born this way, Paul. I mean, this is a mix of perfect genes and a lifetime of great decision making. I carry this burden with me every day. You shouldn't really need to ask. I am just the humblest MVP. The next time you have a bad day, whether it's at work or with the kids, just remember the burden that I carry around, remaining this humble every day when I look in the mirror and I see this staring back at me. There is no counter argument, but thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that argument, Giles. And we will bring him back on again to make a real argument. But he did a good job there. Love the coat. Love the glasses. All right. Next, we're going to bring back on Oz for our next question here. So we're going to kick Giles off the stage. He can bring back his hat and try to score some points. You know, funny enough, this question is, should financial modelers learn Power Query? Of everybody that answered for this session, we only had one no, and he wasn't able to make it. It was Chris Riley. So feel free to comment on one of his things, DM him, and let him know that he's out on a wilderness. Everybody else thinks we should learn Power Query. And Oz gets a minute here to tell us why we should learn Power Query as a modeler. So Oz, take it away.
Imagine the olden days of being required to use VBA to bring data in from multiple folders, multiple sources. Those were the bad old days when people had a life expectancy of 35 and they were dying in mind collapses. If you aren't using Power Query, that's where you are. You're out there in the wilderness with this fellow. You don't want to be there because Power Query makes this easy. Beginners can use Power Query. If all you need to do is split a column, you can do that. You don't have to be bones in the bottom of a mine shaft because you are hard-headed.
All right, love it. Thank you, Oz. So don't be bones in that mine shaft. All right, we're going to move on to the next one here. We just have 2 questions left, and then we'll quickly show. I do not believe there is a link for question 11, Jack. I see that coming through. Since we gave him the win, there was no need to vote. There is an opportunity to vote on Giles, though. So you'll see what's there. Right, we're going to move on to question 12. See if I can keep this all straight. Which financial statement is most important for a modeler to understand? So we're going to bring on our humble MVP, and we're going to bring on Hedieh to argue this one. We had one person who voted for P&L. They couldn't make it, so it got kicked out. P&L, who cares? It's not important because what we're saying. So now Giles is going to tell us why it's all about the balance sheet. So Giles, you're on the clock.
So I think you can answer this in a couple of ways. I would look at it, one, from like a training and skills perspective. Which of the three statements would it be the biggest problem for a modeler not to understand? I think there's more to the balance sheet than any of the other statements. So to not have a modeler comfortable with the technicalities and the principles would be a massive problem for the balance sheet in particular. But then I think when you look at the three statements, look, not having the three statements at all is a problem. I think a lot of people will look at the cash flow, and yes, cash is king, and you have to understand your cash generation over multiple years. I totally get it. But the question I ask myself is it possible for something fundamental about the health of a business to be hidden from your view if you just looked at the cash flow statement or the income statement? And I think the answer is yes. Is it possible with the balance sheet? I think it's as close to no as possible. And the real kicker for me is then if you assume that you're getting multiple years worth of numbers and you've got your balance sheet in front of you, you can actually sort of back calculate quite a lot of the information that you want to get from the bottom of the cash flow statement, from the bottom of the income statement. You can't get the detail. You need the income statement and the balance sheet to do that, but you can reverse engineer quite a lot just from looking at a balance sheet over multiple years. You cannot do that with a cash flow on its own or with an income statement on its own. So I think it's a tight call, but for me, if I was looking at investment, I would choose the balance sheet over multiple years.
All right, thank you. Did that just in the nick of time. We will now hear the counter argument, or not counter argument, we'll hear why cash flow is most important. So Hedieh, tell us about the cash flow.
Yes, Giles, you have already lost the debate. You already declared that cash is king. And I would add the financial model is the queen. And in my world, which is project finance, I'm so sorry, Giles, but we don't even care about your balance sheet. We just build the balance sheet because it helps us to make sure that the model mechanics is correct. But I mean, I would even argue that, what we have in the project finance, which is the cash flow waterfall, is even, the most important statement in a project finance. But I would even, go further. And when I work even in corporate modeling, I always also ask them to build that statement because it's such a beautiful statement. It tells exactly who gets what and at what time. So it tells you the priority of each cash flow statement. It tells you, it reveals to you all the risks of the project. It tells you if things go wrong, what can happen, who can get what. So I think there is no argument against cash flow being the most important statement.
All right, so there you have it. We've had two people share their thoughts. Let us know. Nobody wanted to argue for the P&L, so obviously it's not going to win. It comes down to that cash statement and cash being queen, or balance sheet, as Giles argued. Is that really the most important one? So let us know. Give us your opinions. Let's see what we have in the comments. And here we go. Will must be a consultant. It depends on the business. Come on, it depends. No, I'm just kidding. We all know there's nuances. All right, last question, and then we'll be wrapping up. So we're going to bring a few people up on the stage for this last question. We have David Brown, we have Giles, and we have Oz. So we got three people. And this last question, we're going to give you each about a minute and a half here because we're running close to the end of our time. So it's going to be a little shorter here. But the question is, which is the most important skill for financial modelers? So they had a list of ones to choose from. And from that list, David Brown chose critical thinking. So we're going to put him on the clock to tell us why critical thinking is the most important skill. Take it away, David.
Yeah, so financial modeling is a multidisciplinary. I mean, we need Excel, we need financial modeling. I mean, we need accounting, finance, quite a lot of stuff together. And if you check all universities in the world, you will not see financial modeling. Why? Because it needs so much critical thinking to be an excellent modeler. And critical thinking, too, is not really in most universities' curriculum, right? But critical thinking is extremely important because you need to take those assumptions and need to make sense of it. AI is going to do the mechanics for us, but critical thinking is what the humans are really going to do very well. So critical thinking is number one. If you go and check recruitment and see what's the number one skill most people need from recruiting new people, it's critical thinking. And I think you want to be the best modeler ever, you want to be the best in Excel, you need a lot of critical thinking. So critical thinking, I think, is number one skill. And of course, many modeling projects have gone through. It just takes a little bit of, well, not a little bit, but a lot of thinking, a lot of kind of understanding how does their balance sheet actually, how does this line item make sense to the business? How does this particular delay, 10 days the delay, what will really happen? You have to critically think through that process and then you then do the mechanics. So critical thinking comes first, then comes second, comes last, because at the end of the day, that's what brings value. Critical thinking.
All right, thank you. So we're now going to go over to Giles to argue for understanding financial statements. Now, Giles, don't forget about that cash flow statement. It's important, I've heard. P&L you can forget about, but go ahead, you're on the clock.
They're all quite important. So look, this is not an ideal situation at all. We would want to have a modeler that understands financial statements, has world-class critical thinking skills, and is obviously using Excel. We don't want them using Google Sheets. Let me blow Oz's position out the water straight away. If Excel disappeared today, we would find an alternative. So you cannot argue that Excel is the most important thing out of these three. So it comes down to critical thinking and understanding financial statements. Now, I agree with everything David said, but I don't think you can have a financial modeler that doesn't have financial modeling knowledge. You could have a situation where a modeler has zero critical thinking skills, but if they understand the financial statements, they can be given a specification document, they are told what to do, and they have the skills to build it. You can have the best critical thinking skills in the world. If you don't understand financial statements, you are not technically going to be able to do the primary thing you are supposed to do for your role. So it has to be understanding financial statements out of these three.
All right, thank you, Giles. We're now going to get the last word before we wrap up here to Oz. Tell us why it is Excel, that tool that will die.
I have built a career knowing Excel. And I don't know financial statements. I didn't know the business of the marijuana dispensary that I did a project for. I don't know insurance. I don't know being a chef or running a restaurant. But I have built a career knowing Excel under the guidance of chefs and marijuana shop owners and insurance agents and project managers, all kinds of people. And I'm going to tell you what, this kaleidoscope cost like $700. I bought it because I know Excel.
All right. Thank you, Oz. We're going to bring everybody back on stage here. And just first, I want to thank everybody. The idea here was to have fun. I hope everybody had fun with this. We all know the reality is every one of these is nuanced, right? There are some more so than others, but you can make an argument. You could argue it depends. Definitely your role and what you're doing matters. But we're going to run through.
I want to say something because you said David Brown chose critical thinking. I don't know if he chose it. I know I was assigned every one of my positions.
You were, yes, but you all filled out a form. I can go show you the form. I asked you all questions. I based it on the form.
Here's the guy saying, but you signed a waiver, right? Okay.
Right, Paul Barnhurst. Go ahead, give me a hard time. I'm ready for it. Oh, I forgot to bring Giles on the stage. Sorry, Giles. You were so humble in the background, I just didn't notice.
I noticed. Trust me.
Not that valued.
I was keeping him off screen so he would remain humble. All right.
It just happens naturally. It's fine.
So real quick, we're just going to run through and not in any specific order because it's just the way it came up. fully dynamic arrays, our winner based on votes was Giles. So congratulations, Giles. Named ranges, our winner there based on votes, Carolina. Congratulations. Power BI, Oz is our winner. Will AI build the models for us? This one was a landslide. We had more votes for this one than any of them. It was all one direction. Hedieh, congratulations. All right. On the most humble, we did get a vote. The options were yes, of course, and why is this a question? And the answer we got was of course. So congratulations, Giles.
Fair. I voted. That was me.
All right. He's the only one that voted. Surprised he voted for himself, right? All right. So let's keep going here real quick. Next one we have up is 3-statement models. It ended up as a tie on it being most important for FP&A. 1 vote for me and 1 vote for Carolina. So it's important. All right. Will Excel ever die? Oz won the vote there. So someday Excel's going to die. Good job, Oz. On the financial statements, which one's most important? Turns out it's cash flow. So Giles, you're going to have to give it up to our queen.
Happily.
All right. Most important skill. Again, Oz is our winner. They said Excel. Congratulations, Oz. All right.
Thank you.
We have 2 more left. Should we learn VBA? The vote here was 2/3 for Rishi, 1/3 for David on that one. And circular references, we ended up with a tie. I see that look. So that kind of we tie, 50-50 there. So thank you everyone for joining us. We're right at the top of the hour. We hope you had fun with our panelists, and go forth and learn modeling, Excel, Power Query, all that stuff. Thank you, everyone.
This was fun. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. This was great.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, bye.
Financial Modelers Corner was brought to you by the Financial Modeling Institute. This year, I completed the Advanced Financial Modeler certification, and it made me a better financial modeler. What are you waiting for? Visit FMI at www.fminstitute.com/podcast and use code podcast to save 15% when you enroll in one of the accreditations today.